Hello. This is Amazing Toying, and I want to welcome everyone to this webinar. Excuse me. My name is Toyin Dawodu, and I'm the founder of GICDealFinders.com. And this seminar is about motivated sellers. Um, as a form of introduction, GIC Deal Finders is the website that allows you to make money while you are training to become a real estate investor. It's the only type of website that is available in the world that allows you to make money while you are still an apprentice. And if you're already a member, you know how the process works. If you're not a member, you need to log in to gicdealfinders.com and become a member. And as you go through the program, you will find out how you could become uh, an apprentice real estate investor. So as I stated, my name is Toyin Dawodu, and we'll be going over the process of being able to determine who is a motivated seller. Now, the secret to making money in real estate that most people don't discuss is your ability to determine if the owner is motivated. And most investors fail because they are unable to recognize a motivated seller. So they waste a lot of time and finally they get frustrated and give up. If you're not talking to a motivated seller, you are basically wasting your time. Okay? So so the question is, do you want to give up? Okay? Or do you want to learn how to determine if the property is motivated or if the owner is motivated? Okay? And so the question is, why GIC? Well, GIC allows you, number one, as I stated, to become an investor and learn why you are making money, okay, as an apprentice. My name is Toyin Dawodu, as I stated, and we are going to be going over a series of information that helps you to determine if a property is in distress or if the owner is motivated. Okay, so I'll be answering some of these questions as we go along. Now you might be wondering, who am I? Okay, and why am I doing this? Why real estate? Okay, because real estate is magic. I mean, for example, last week I was at the beach. I spent a couple of days at the beach in California, and this week so far I've spent 2 days in Las Vegas, and in between I was still able to do real estate. Real estate is the only business that allows you to move around while you are still attending to what is important to your life. And for most of us, the number one uh, factor, okay, that moves us, okay, that drives us is the desire to be with our family almost all the time. I mean, this is my daughter. She's 10 years old, and that's my life. I do a lot of things around her, and real estate has given me the ability to attend every function she has. Anything she wants to do, daddy is there for her. Um, so the reason is because real estate is the only business that I know of that anyone can get into with or without money. Okay, it's the easiest and fastest business. I look at real estate as a business. Okay, it is the easiest and fastest business anyone can get into without having to borrow $100,000 to buy a franchise, $200,000 to start a business, find some angel investors to invest in your company. I mean, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of businesses you could start around the world. And I actually explain to people that if you need money to start a business, okay, you need to get into the real estate business. That's how I got in. That's how I was able to develop or build 12 different businesses and grew each one to about $1 million each. Okay. I use real estate as my vehicle. I've never ever had to go to the bank to borrow money to start a business. I always use the cash flow from my real estate business. When I need money, I just buy a house. It's as simple as that. And I want you to do the same. Okay. So, with real estate, you're always in control. And I give this uh, business, I call it the magic of real estate. And there's no business like the real estate business. Okay. Now, so you might be wondering, why am I qualified to be speaking to you? Um, because if you're listening to this webinar and you've never met me and you don't know who is Amazing Toyin and who is Toyin Dawodu, I will go over quickly some of my qualifications as to why I am qualified to speak to you right now and why you may want to listen to me. Because according to Tony Robbins, if you want to do something or be successful at something, you find somebody who is already doing it or who has done it and successful at it, and you ask them to show you. So I am going to show you how to recognize a motivated seller in this webinar. Now, here's a small introduction about myself and why am I an expert. Now, as I go through this introduction, don't look at it that you have to be like me, okay? And that you have to have a college degree, you have to have a master's degree. I just happened to have all that before I got into real estate. I mean, I didn't go to college because I wanted to make money in real estate. I went to college because that's what everybody was doing when I was growing up, and I had to do it. I had no choice. I mean, my dad made me do it. Put it that way. my dad made me go to college. Looking back right now, will I have gone to college? Probably, because when you are growing up between the ages of, 16, 17, all the way to 29, it gives you the discipline. Anyway, that's about all. It gives you the discipline to focus on something. But while I was at it, I got, several college degrees, about 4 of them. I have a master's degree in business. And then I got a broker's license. Now, I got my broker's license not because I really wanted to do real estate. I got my broker's license so I can do some other business, which I could probably tell you in the future if you become one of my students. Now, in between all this, I started over 12 different companies, okay? And I grew each one to about $1 million. Now, every time I need money, I will buy a house, okay? If I needed to start a business, I'll just buy another property. Eventually, just like I was saying, I grew all these businesses, but at some point in my life, something happened, right? About 15 years ago, I had a major shakeup in my life, okay, to where I lost all my businesses. I lost $10 million. Today I had businesses with 100 employees, and the next day I had to lay off 30 employees immediately. So that's the story of another book. So what I'm trying to tell you is that I didn't just become a property investor full time. I had to become a property investor when I went broke. I had no money. I was miserable for almost 2 years before I finally woke myself up and said, guess what? You can't be like this. That's when I finally figured out real estate. Prior to that, I had gone to seminars, I bought books, but then when it comes to asking or answering sellers' questions, I always get stuck. Okay, if a seller asks me a question and I can't find it in the book or the workbook or the seminar I went last, that I can't call the coach anymore. In fact, there was never really a coach, because once they sell you the book, they're gone. So I got stuck, and I bought all these books and I put them aside. Okay, but eventually, when I had a major devastation in my life, I lost $10 million. I was miserable for 2 years. I found myself in real estate because I had no choice. I needed to make money, and I started buying houses. Okay, I started my real estate investment career prior to buying 400 properties with one single property, and I had only $298 line of credit. I got $298 line of credit from my local newspaper. I put up an ad that I buy houses, and the rest is history. That's how I started. So I started from zero. So if you're watching this program or you are listening to me, don't despair that you have no money. Okay, because with real estate, you don't really need money. And I'll show you as we move along in this process. So at one point, prior to actually getting into real estate, I owned and operated a law office for almost 10 years. I had 8 attorneys on my payroll, okay, and each attorney made up 100 grand a year. So you could figure out how much I was making. I had a mortgage company at some point in my life, because in those days, before the recession, if you're a real estate broker, you can automatically do loans. But these days, that's not the case. And so I didn't bother to go get a loan license because I don't have time for all that right now. I get too much fun from just buying and selling properties. I've attended most of the coaching seminars. I know most of the gurus. I don't really want to be a guru, but I am compelled to want to give back and take a few people by the hand and show them how I became successful starting with zero. Okay. So you get a chance to learn uh, towards the end of this program. I will show you a series of my email address or phone number where you could make an appointment with me if you want me to show you how I did it. Okay. I started with zero. I ended up with over 400 properties, and I barely used any of my money, barely, because I mean, when I started, I had no money, and when I made money, I didn't use my money either, because everybody was throwing money at me at that time. So I got over 12 years experience in buying land. I did some little subdivision at some point, bought commercial properties, residential properties, land, you name it. I've done it. I've done short sale, long sale. I mean, I was doing short sale before there was short sale. Okay, we were doing short sale like early 90s. In fact, when I first bought my property or first learned about this process, I knew about short sale like late 80s, early 90s. I bought a couple of properties before I became full time around 99. Um, okay, so here's some of the things that I do. Like most successful people have a ritual, right? And so if you don't have a ritual in your life, you need to develop a ritual. In other words, what do you do on a daily basis to move yourself towards your targeted goal or to further your passion, okay, in life? Because um, if you set yourself a goal, right, you have to have some kind of attendant ritual to make sure you are still on track. It's like a guided missile, okay? And the reason I was so successful in buying a lot of properties was that I was super, super focused. My focus at that time was the seller, okay? My phone was on call 24 hours. I never turn my phone off. And when the phone rings and I know it's a seller, I pick it up, even if I was sleeping at 2 a.m. in the morning. So, but today, I am not uh, super, super uh, focused only on real estate. I have several other passions, okay? Um, because I have so much experience, I don't have to do a lot of deals. In the past, I had to do a lot of deals. Today, I don't touch a deal unless it's a fat, juicy deal, has a minimum of 40, $50,000 profit in it, and I get them every day. I generate a lot of leads, and I'll show you how I do it. If you ever become one of my student apprentices, okay, because the name of the game is being the ability to find a seller, especially a motivated seller. So every morning when I wake up, I have my coffee, I read my Wall Street Journal, it gives me a perspective on, national business. Every week I watch, read the Economist. I read the Forbes magazine. I read a lot of business magazines because, I just like business magazine. And I do a whole bunch of stuff. Uh, Real estate right now is just one of the things that I do. One of my passions is helping build power in Africa. I mean, believe it or not, if you live in the US, a lot of things we take for granted here, like water, electricity, and stuff like that. When you are in Africa, you don't get a chance, you don't get opportunity to have all those things in abundance. So, so if you Google my name and you see that I'm building power in Africa, it's not because it's something new. It's something that I've been doing for a while that I love doing because it's another way of giving back to help people that need a hand. At one point, I owned a technology company. Okay, and so if you look at gicdealfinders.com, it's like a cloud-based application that allows our members to put in the properties to find the property. Okay, put it on our website. If I buy it, you make money. It's as simple as that. Okay, and it's the only one of its kind that exists in the world, as far as I know, that allows ordinary folks to make money in real estate without investing full time, without doing anything besides driving by around their neighborhood, seeing a property, and putting it on our website. You don't even need a license to do that. I read a lot of books, and I know how to create money, and that's the skill everybody needs to learn. You need to learn the skill of creating money, and if you don't learn the skill, and real estate will give you that skill. If you don't learn the skill of creating money, you're always going to be dependent on somebody, a job, some employer somewhere, and everybody controls your time except you. Okay. So having said that, my question to you is, why are you here? Okay, why are you listening to me right now? Why did you sign up for this webinar? Why are you listening to Amazing Towing? I will presume that you want to get, some questions answered in real estate that you haven't had answered. You want to learn as much as you can. You want to find out how to make money. Some of you might just be looking. Some of you are probably already professionals and investing. I want to actually try to orient my program towards newbies. Newbies meaning that, in other words, if you're interested in making money and you don't know a whole bunch about real estate, okay, and you want somebody holding your hand. There are a lot of experienced people out there who actually think they're experienced in real estate, but they're not making money. So if you are one of those, okay, you should listen to me carefully, because I've run into people who has, two houses. They are investors, and I asked them, how much have you made on these two houses? And they've owned the houses for 12 years and they have made no money. Okay. Now, I used to be in the same position, okay, because at one point when I got into this process, I had 40 properties under rental and I was broke every month. How can you own 40 houses and be broke? Well, it wasn't until I found out the secret and the magic behind real estate, okay, that I started making bank. I went from broke to having $100,000 in my account almost every month. Okay, so if you want to know what this Amazing Towing is all about, okay, what I already know, then I will urge you to pay careful attention as we move along. Okay, I already know how to do this. I've done this for a long time. I do it every day. I love real estate. I mean, to me, real estate is like, if you remember when you were a kid and you're like 4 or 5 years old and they bought you a bike, okay, what do you want to do? You will ride a bike all day, all night. In fact, you will refuse to go to sleep. Okay, it's like your mom will have to drag you inside, and with the moment you wake up the next morning, what do you want to do? You want to ride your bike. That's the way I look at real estate. Real estate to me, it's fun. Okay, it's so much fun. I sleep, dream real estate because it's like, it doesn't look like work. Once you enjoy the process and you know that when you leave your house, I mean, there has been some days on a weekend, Saturday, I leave the house with nothing in my pocket besides my driver's license, drive and look at 4 or 5 houses, and then I come home with $2,000, and $100,000 equity just from driving 40, 50 miles to look at some properties. Okay, because I happen to be in front of motivated sellers. They needed to sell. I got what I call the instrument of control. Okay, you have to know how to get the instrument of control, because only one thing controls the real estate in the US. Okay, it's a piece of paper called the grant deed. In some areas, it's called the warranty deed. Okay, the only person that can give you this piece of paper is the seller, specifically a motivated seller. A motivated seller will give you a grant deed anytime, any place, anywhere. So when I move on a Saturday and I encounter a motivated seller, I take them straight to a No Republic. We do the transaction and we're done. I am in control after that. So now the question is, which one comes first? The property or the motivated seller? Okay, because a lot of people, if you look at the number of properties that are sold, that exchange hands every year, in the US, it's anywhere from 4 to 5 million properties that are sold every year. Okay, just residential. If you add commercial, we could be selling and exchanging 7 million properties. Okay, so you could find properties all over the place. There are properties for sale. If you go out, you click on the net, okay, there are properties all over the place. And the difference is this: most people that are uh, uh, so-called investors, okay, who have not been trained, or who didn't receive proper training, or who are trying to cut corners, or who thinks, oh, I'm just going to read a book and I'll become an investor, make the mistake of talking to a lot of time wasters. Okay, they see a property for sale and they're talking to the seller. They're talking to the seller for days, weeks, and not knowing that the seller is never going to sell to them. Okay, the moment I got the proper training, the moment the coach tells me what is a motivated seller, how to recognize a motivated seller, what questions to ask, okay, my success in real estate quadrupled. So that way I know exactly what to focus my time on. That's why it's easy for me to do 2 deals, make $100,000, and somebody is trying to find one single deal, okay, and I talk to about 4 or 5 people and I make a couple of deals. I make 2 deals. Whereas others talk to 100 people and they can't make a deal. It's because they're talking to the wrong people. They're not talking to a motivated seller. Okay. Now, here, this is me and one of my apprentice students. Okay. And I use Andre a lot because Andre is a very, very dedicated student who wants to know. He wants to learn. He absorbs everything. Okay. Yesterday, Andre was at the city, and I sent him to the city because we bought a property from a motivated seller, and the city is trying to charge us like $5,000-$6,000 for code violation. So I said, Andre, here, I wrote a letter. I emailed it to Andre. You take this letter to the city, and I want you to demand all of this information. I want you to demand from them the breakdown of how they came up with $5,222. Okay, that we have to pay before we close on this property. So he took it there, went to the counter, went to the code enforcement. They gave him the breakdown. I was actually surprised that he got it that quick, right? Apparently, since everything is in the cloud these days, they click what, click, and they gave him the information. So he called me from the city and said, look, Tony, I got the information. I said, good. Tell them to fax it so I can take a look at it, because he was trying to read it to me. I said, look, Andre, just tell the city to fax it to me right now so I can take a look at it and find out, how they got these numbers. So they faxed it to me. I looked at it, and then Andre said to me, you could see that, and this is how I noticed that Andre is becoming like me. He's learning. So he said to me, Tony, you know what? I'm going to try to negotiate with the city to see if they can discount this amount. Okay, so he asked the lady, well, I mean, this is too much. What can we do about this? To our surprise, the city, the lady on the counter says, well, let me see what I can do with these numbers. Even if we save $1,000, that's another $1,000 that's going to go to our bottom line. Okay, so so a lot of people sometimes, they want to rush and go get the deal, right? They rushed. I want to be a common investor. They start talking, finding properties, wasting their time. Then they become frustrated because they didn't have the proper coaching, right? So whatever you do, whether it's with me or somebody else, okay, if you don't get the right information, this process sometimes becomes very frustrating. I know because I bought some books in the past, okay, I bought some seminars, and then I went to make an offer on a property. The seller asked me a question. I couldn't answer the question, and I put my workbook under my bed for another 5 years. I don't want you to spend 5 years before you start making money in real estate. Okay, I want you to start making money in real estate within the next 90 days, especially if you are under my wing. So what I'll be covering in this webinar is what I kind of alluded to earlier. Okay, we're going to be looking to find motivated sellers, okay, and we're going to be looking to determine who is a motivated seller, right? Okay, and then immediately recognize whether we're wasting our time, okay, or we want to say, hi, Mr. Jones, nice talking to you. I can smell a motivated seller like, 5,000 miles away. I buy properties all over the nation, and these days I don't even have to see the property. And so people always wonder, how can you buy somebody a property you don't see it? When you get to my level of experience, okay, you will know what determines a good deal. It's not you taking a look at the property that determines whether you're really going to buy it. Okay, it's being able to determine, number one, the motivation of the seller. Okay, and if the seller is motivated, they will give you a description of the property to where it will feel like you are inside the house. And so if you're inside the house and the seller is motivated, okay, and the price is right, do I need to drive 5,000 miles to go see the property? No. Especially these days, you could look at it on the internet. You could drive the street. You could do a U-turn on the street if you go Google Drive. I mean, Google Maps, right? So we'll be covering how do you recognize a motivated seller? Can you motivate him or her? What questions do you ask? Okay, is the property motivated? And what is the distress? Who is a motivated seller? Right? Is the property distressed? Is the lender distressed? What motivates the lender, and does the property qualify? Okay. So going on the first one, right? How do you recognize a motivated seller? Well, it's very simple. Okay, when you talk to somebody who is motivated, okay, and you ask them questions, okay, they will answer your question. It's as simple as that. If somebody is motivated to sell their property, they will answer your questions. They don't ask you or tell you it's none of your business. When I ask a seller, Mr. Jones, why do you want to sell your property? And they tell me it's none of my business, I know they're not motivated. It's as simple as that. If I ask a seller, how much do you own your property? And they tell me it's none of my business, I know they're not motivated. They just want their price. Okay? Because a motivated seller, okay, only has one goal: get rid of their house. That's it, or property. Their only goal is to get rid of their property, and they will do whatever they have to do. They will answer your questions. In fact, you will see a list of my 10 commandments of a motivated seller soon. Okay. So if the seller wants to sell, no matter what question you ask the seller, okay, they never talk back at you or answer you in a negative way. They always give you the information. It's as simple as that. So when I call a seller, okay, within the first 2 minutes, my goal is to get to the reason why they're selling. My goal is to determine the motivation within the first 2 minutes. Okay? And if I can determine the motivation within the first 2 minutes, I would conclude that I'm talking to somebody who is not interested in selling, or who is interested in selling at their price. Okay? Now, if I know sometimes some people are motivated and they still want to get their price, you have to be able to determine the difference. So if their price is within the range that you want to pay, right, and you recognize the motivation, then you want to keep talking to them. But if their price is way out there, okay, like you ask them a question, Mr. Jones, how much do you think this property is worth? Oh, I think it's worth 200,000. Okay, how much do you think I can get it for? And they say, I don't know, you make me an offer. Now, so if you look at the question, how much can I get your property for? He's the seller. He should be able to give you a price. But usually a motivated seller will give you a price. Somebody who's not motivated will tell you, well, make me an offer. When somebody tells me to make me an offer, make them an offer, sometimes I turn it into like a joke, right? I try to make, some little talk out of it. And I said, Mr. Jones, it's your property. You know what you want, so you should tell me, how much, and they might say, well, I already told you $200,000. I understand that. Okay, well, if I give you cash right now, what can I get this property for? Well, if they say, oh, I don't care if you give me cash, I just want 200,000. Well, they're probably not motivated. Okay, I can guarantee you, and I can tell you this based on my experience, and I know it happens every day. Okay, when a seller is motivated and you ask them and you told them you want to pay cash for their property, usually you will get a discount. I don't care how small the discount is. Okay, if you're dealing with a seller one-on-one, okay, and you ask them this simple question, Mr. Jones, I would like to buy your property. If I buy it today and I give you cash, what is the least I can get the property for? They will drop immediately anywhere from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've seen people drop 30%. In other words, the seller initially wanted 100,000. You ask them the question, Mr. Jones, if I buy your property right now and I give you cash, what is the least you will sell the property for me to me? And they will tell you, well, I don't know. If you're gonna pay me cash, you know, I'll probably do about 80,000. You just made 20 grand. When Mr. Jones put up his property, he wanted to get 100,000. You ask him simple questions, and he said, "I will give you 80. I will let you have the property for 80,000." That's $20,000 discount. When was the last time somebody gave you a check for 20,000 bucks? Okay, that's why it's important to focus on people that are motivated. Okay, the moment you recognize a motivated seller, you want to treat them like gold. You want to be nice to them, and you want to make them understand that you are a serious buyer. Okay, the moment they recognize that you're a serious buyer, they will do whatever it takes to help you buy the property. Okay, now there's always this question, whether you can motivate a seller, right? Can you really motivate a seller? No. If somebody is not motivated, okay, you cannot motivate them to give you a discount. There's nothing you can do, very seldom, okay, for them to give you a discount. Because in order for somebody to give you something for free, because when Mr. Jones discounted their property $20,000, they're essentially giving you a $20,000 windfall. So in order for somebody to give you something for free, you will have to give them something in exchange that is equal to or greater than what they're giving up. What are you giving them? You're giving them instant cash. Okay, instant cash, even though the money is not in your pocket, but you present yourself, okay, that, hey, Mr. Jones, if you give me this discount, I will give you the money. How soon do you want to close? Okay, and as a student, apprentice, I'll show you where to get the money. The first thing is to get the deal, because if you have the deal, the money will come up or will show up. Okay, so you ask us questions as to, Mr. Jones, why are you selling? Okay, what is wrong with the property? How soon have you owned the property? You ask some of those initial questions just to break down some of their barriers, right? Okay, you want to be friendly with them, right? You don't immediately go for, okay, your price is 100,000, can I get it for 20,000 or whatever? No, I make some little jokes with them. Hi, Mr. Jones, how you doing? Like your property, nice property. Okay, what do you want to tell me about it? What should I know about this property? Okay, so they tell you, oh, it's a nice property, or they tell you, oh, well, I need some roof. You need a roof. You need this and it. No matter, my goal is to steer them to where I can ask them that question of why. Okay, now you will eventually get to where you can determine, if the property is motivated, right? You can't really have motivation in a property, but if the owner is motivated, the property, it could fall into one of several factors. In other words, is the property in distress, right? Why is he motivated? Either the owner is in distress or the property is in distress, one of the two. So a motivated seller will have some kind of distress. And what is the distress? It could be a divorce. It could be like a death in the family. It could be foreclosure. Okay. Distress for the property will include like code violation, mortgage, they're behind in mortgage. They have a second that they need to pay off. They have a balloon coming, those kind of stuff, right? Okay, so once you determine that the property is distressed, the owner may not be motivated, but the property is distressed. They live in Oklahoma. The property is in California. Okay, they just got a letter from the city that, hey, you know what, we're going to burn up your property, right? And you got 30 days to correct all these code violations. If you don't, you're done deal, right? And so they got that letter, and they call you and say, you know what, I got this letter from the city, this property is in bad shape. Can you help me out? So the property is in distress. All this information you want to find out quickly as soon as possible. But all this comes with experience, and it comes with practice, okay? And it comes with having somebody hold your hands, because even, right now, like I stated earlier, Andre is a very good student, okay? He is still not at a stage where he can get all this information instantaneously, okay? And when he has a deal, when he's in the field, he still calls me. And so we do a three-way, just so he can learn what questions to ask. Then he listens to me as I talk to sellers, okay? Information that he can't get, he's like sometimes shocked that I get it within 2 seconds of getting on the phone. But all that comes with experience, okay? And so that's what this seminar is about. How do you get experience? You get experience by practicing, okay? When I started in real estate, my coach made me make certain number of calls every day to the banks, to sellers, to people that will actually, tell me to get the F off the phone, because I ask them ridiculous questions and they laugh at me or they hang up on me. But that's all just to thicken your skin, okay? Because these days when I call a seller and they tell me no, I just laugh it off. People tell me, well, I said to Mr. Jones, Mr. Jones, I like your property, I like to buy it. How much you want? They said 200,000. I asked them a few questions. I said, wait a minute, 200,000? How did you come up with that? Are you like shocked that you're asking for 200,000, even though I haven't seen the property for this junk? So I was like, well, how do you come up with 200,000? So that's just to break down their barriers. How do you come up with that? I challenge them, and they say, well, my neighbor sold this for, my real estate agent told me that it's worth 200. And I said to them, well, why didn't your real estate agent buy it? Oh, well, he doesn't buy properties, he just sells them. Well, obviously, okay. But if it's worth 200, he will already have a buyer, won't it? Yeah. Anyway, okay, Mr. Jones, I know you probably want $200,000, okay? Let me take a look at it here and see. Sometimes I try to ask for discount right away on the phone. If I know there's a level of motivation there to where I need to go see the property, sit in front of the owner, because when you are sitting in front of the owner, you actually even get bigger discounts sometimes. The discounts you get on the phone, because when I'm on the phone and I already got 10-20% discount, then I go and see the property. When I get there, I try to get another 10% discount. This property is fun. You go buy something worth 100,000, right? And you write a check for 70. How much have you made? 30,000. Okay. So I learned to buy a dollar for 50 cents for the last, several years. And I try to do that on a regular basis. And that's one of the things I'm going to teach you. Okay, so you want to determine if the property qualifies, if the lender qualifies, because sometimes the lender is in distress. Okay, the lender is foreclosing. Okay, they don't really want the property. Right now we have a property that we're working on. Okay, we know the lender is distressed, but they don't want to make it clear they're distressed. This property, the loan on it is $435,000. Okay, we have an offer right now to the lender for $31,000 because the property is in bad shape. The lender is way, 100,000 miles away. They've seen the appraisal, they've seen their BPO, they know the property is in bad shape. There's a lot of city violations in it, and we have to spend a lot of money fixing it. Okay, but the lender doesn't want us to see their sweat, so they're holding out for their BPO. We're holding out for the lowest price. We could probably pay their BPO, but it's just this is like it's like a poker game. I don't necessarily want the property, okay, but because we're in control of the property, Okay, that's what I mean initially by this thing called the instrument of control. I have the instrument of control on this property. I'm talking to the lender. Nobody else can come and fight me over this property, right? Okay, so I have my time to negotiate the lowest price I can, and that's part of the things I'm going to teach you. One of the problems with, sometimes attending these seminars and the buying books is that certain questions can never be answered in a book. They can't answer them in a seminar either, because you don't know when you're going to encounter that problem, and that's why you always want to have a coach that you can pick up your phone and call and say, you know what, this is the problem I encounter. What should I do with this? How can I move forward? Because when you hit a brick wall in real estate, you could be losing $40,000, $50,000. You hit a brick wall. You could have made the deal, but you didn't have an answer to the seller. You didn't have an answer to the lender. Okay, I mean, I've discounted a $600,000 loan to $100,000 in the past. One of the properties we bought about 6 months ago, they owe $459,000. We discounted the loan to $112,000. Okay, the tricks and the rules of the game, the strategies. Okay, sometimes you can't really learn it in a book, and the coaches will not even teach you in a seminar, because some of these nuances depends on what even the coach will do at a particular time. Okay, he may not even be aware that the problem exists until he encounters the problem. And if you're not experienced, you won't even know how to solve it. So you want to always have somebody who's your coach that you have access to, that you could call, such that you are able to answer the seller's questions. Okay, so let's give you an example. This is the property I was talking about. Okay, one man's junk is another man's treasure. This property right now, it's in California. That's all I can tell you. This property is in California. There's about $435,000 owed on this property. Okay, my first offer was $6,000. The lender just laughed off. Then I took it to $18,000. They still laugh at me. I took it to $31,000. They're still laughing. Okay, so we're still negotiating. My goal is to get it. So I'm probably going to go up a little bit, maybe go to $39,000, because I know I could sell this property for about $150,000, put another $40,000 in it, and there's about $60,000, $70,000 profit in this property, right? These are the kind of properties you want. You want bread and butter properties, okay? I mean, I know a lot of investors that buy, $500,000 property and they end up making $20,000 profit. I buy $100,000 profit and I make $100,000. That's the way I like to do it, okay? Because when you are buying a $100,000 property and you bought it for 30 cents on the dollar, the only way you could go is up. You can't come down anymore. But if you end up with those $500,000 property, okay, any simple mistake you make, I mean, even a quarter difference in your sales commission will set you back another $4,000-$5,000. So that's why I stick to mostly bread and butter properties. Once in a while, I'll buy expensive properties if I know there's enough juice in it. Okay. So I went over the reasons why somebody will want to sell. Okay. If you're not asking these questions within the first 2-3 seconds, minutes of talking to the seller, Mr. Jones, why? Why are you selling, Mr. Jones? Okay. If you don't know why the owner is selling, okay, and how soon they want to sell, you're basically wasting your time writing an offer, period. Or you could write an offer if you want to pay full price. If the owner says, I want $200,000, sure, you write an offer for $200,000, they'll be glad, all day long. But if you want a 10, 20, 30, 40% discount, you got to find out what their motivation is. It's through their motivation you'll be able to craft your offer, okay, and put them exactly where they belong in terms of, do you want to throw cash at them, or you want to have them give you financing? Sometimes I tell sellers, okay, fine, I'll pay your price as long as I can come in with zero down. You carry the paper, no interest. In fact, if you give me some money at the close of escrow, I might take the property from you. And I've done that before. I've bought properties where at the end of the day, the seller actually pays me. Okay, so in conclusion, you have to understand that the sellers need buyers more than buyers need sellers. It's as simple as that. So if you run into a property and the seller is giving you a hard time, just move on. Okay, he needs you more than you need him, and there are a lot of properties out there. So don't focus too much on one property. Don't feel like, well, I lost that seller. Oh God, I'm gonna not eat for 3 days. I've been there, done that. Okay, if you look at it this way, if you go to a bus stop and just as you get there, the last bus at the bus stop was leaving, what do? You don't go back home. You wait for the next bus. It's as simple as that. There's always another seller. There's always another property. Never ever get emotionally involved with a property because all it is a property. It's four walls in some location. If you wait long enough, another property will come and you will make a better deal. Okay, so over the years I've developed these 10 commandments, what I call 10 commandments of a motivated seller. Okay, I'm going to quickly go over this with you guys. Okay, and if you want it, you could always email me, send me an email, and I'll send you a copy of these 10 commandments. Right, so we'll go through them real quick. Now, thou shalt not waste time with an unmotivated seller. If somebody is not motivated, don't waste your time, because a motivated seller will answer your questions. An unmotivated seller will ask you questions. Okay, a motivated seller will help you to buy his house. An unmotivated seller will fight you all the way to escrow. A motivated seller will pay you to buy their house. An unmotivated seller will cost you time and money. So the bottom line is this: an unmotivated seller is a time waster. Don't spend any time with them. Number two, thou shalt get to the seller before the freaking agent does. Okay, you can never get a discount when you go through an agent. It's as simple as that. If you're going through agents to buy your properties, the chances are you won't be getting as much discount as I will get if I talk to the seller. Sometimes you get discounts from agents, okay, but they seldom want to give you discounts because they already promised the owner how much the property is worth. So now they have to go back and convince the owner that what the property they said was worth so much is not worth that, and because of that they want to get discount. The owner is going to be looking at them. Didn't you tell me your property is worth 200? So why are you asking me to sell it for 150? Whereas if I'm talking to the owner and the owner told me the property is worth 200, I will ask them if I can buy it for 100,000. I have no qualms about that. All he's going to say is no. But the agent cannot do that. I can ask for ridiculous price discount. The agent cannot do that. Number three, always check the title before you part with substantial amount of money. If you recall earlier, I said that sometimes I leave out home on Saturday morning and I come back with 2 grand dates. And sometimes these grand dates, if the owner requires money, because you're talking to somebody on a Saturday, they're telling you, I got to move out of California on Monday, and I need $5,000. Okay, well, you have to be careful parting up with any money until you check title. Make sure the title is clear, because I've done it before and I've lost money doing it. I don't want you to do the same thing. And that's where you want to learn, how do you read the title? How do you get to title information on a weekend where a property is hot? You could make $50,000. If you don't make the deal, somebody else is going to make the deal that weekend. Okay, if you don't have access to information and you don't know what to do, you will lose $50,000. And it's happened to me. I talked to somebody on Saturday and I told them, well, let me check title on Monday. Well, when I called them on Monday, somebody smarter than me bought the property on Sunday. Okay, so this game, okay, you have to be on your toes. You got to know what you're doing. You have to have the information or have access to the information. I can buy a property today, without necessarily waiting for the prelim, because I know how to check whether there's information on prelim that is going to affect how much I'm willing to part with right away until we check title. Okay? Never give money to a third party, especially when they're not on title. Sometimes, somebody calls you and say, well, it's my uncle. I'm in control of the property. If you give them money, you might end up losing your money. Okay? If they're not on title, be careful about giving them money. You should always try to talk to the owner. That's commandment number 5. Okay, like I said earlier, you can't get a discount from the agent. You can only get a discount from the seller. Okay, they should say, yeah, you can only get a discount from the seller. Thou shalt always ignore the selling price. Well, the selling price is just a number. That's all it is. That's what the seller wants. What do you want to pay? It's as simple as that. Thou shalt understand that a no is a maybe. When somebody tells you no, especially when it comes to selling a property or buying one, and I say, Mr. Jones, can I buy your property for 50 cents on the dollar? And they say no. The next question I ask is, why not? Come on, what do you mean no? Because a no is a maybe. In the property parlance of the information, the way I was taught is that a no is a maybe. Okay? Then thou shalt understand that a maybe is a yes. If they say, oh, I'm not sure, they're really telling you, sure, you could do it. Just, romance me a little bit more. Give me another reason why I should let you have 50% discount on my property. Show me how much I like you. Okay, when they say, oh, I'm not sure, let me check with my wife. So, oh, well, let's talk to your wife right now. Where's she at? Oh, she's painting her toenails. Oh, guess what? I put them in the car and we go to the toenail shop. Go talk to the wife. Because you make it fun. You make it like, hey, your family. And people always like to do business with people they like. So I try to get people to immediately like me. And I show immediately that I like them, genuinely like them, because they're going to give me money. If somebody's going to give you money, you have to like them. I immediately show that I like them. They can see the genuineness in me. And that's one of the things you have to display. Never ever disrespect the owner, okay, because they have money in their pocket that they're going to give you. Most people think that, when they buy a property, they're actually parting with money. No. When I buy a property, the owner is actually paying me to buy the property. They got my money in their pocket because they are the only one that can give me a discount. So if the owner sells me a property worth 100,000 for 70,000, the owner just gave me 30,000 bucks. So I need to be his friend. And that's how you negotiate. That's how you travel in this realm of what I call the magic of real estate. Okay, real estate is magic. I mean, where else can you go call somebody, okay, and tell them to give you $30,000 check? Never, ever. There's no business that I know of where somebody's going to hand you a check for $30,000. But guess what? That happens every day in real estate. And finally, thou shalt make the seller your friend, an ally. Okay? If the seller is your friend and your ally, they will do whatever it takes to help you close the deal. I'll give you an example. The property we negotiated, okay, from 459,000 to 112,000. Okay, this property had been vacant for almost 5 years. Okay, when we finally got to the seller, I became good friends with the seller, visited his house like 4 or 5 times during the times we were negotiating. Okay, all the information the seller needs, the lender needs, has to come from the seller. So making him my friend, it was easy for me to get that information in order to negotiate with the lender such that I could get a discount. Eventually, I gave the seller something, but the fact that he was my friend and he recognizes that I was helping him, because the first thing he told me was, Tony, just get my name off this property. I am tired of it. And I did that for him. So make sure the seller is your friend. Okay, so that's the information right there. If you enjoy this information and you want to learn more from Amazing Towing, just email me. Okay, I take on a few students here and there. Okay, I'm not one of those gurus that try to sell my books to 100,000 people. I only want to train people that will work with me so that we benefit each other. Okay, as you're learning, you're making me money, I'm making you money. Okay, even though the initial cost of you getting into my apprentice program might seem like, oh, wait a minute, I don't want to spend this. But when you compare it to spending $30,000 to get a college degree or get a certificate to become a paralegal, an LVN, a computer this, a computer that, I mean, these days people go to all these trade schools, all these schools, they borrow 30, 40, $50,000. At the end of the day, they got nothing to show for it because they can't even get a job. I mean, even these days, lawyers can't get a job, not to talk of a paralegal, right? So, for a small amount, you could receive an apprenticeship coaching where you will learn a skill that you will have for the rest of your life, to where you will never have to depend on anybody for a living. Okay, so if that's your one of your goals, write the email down, amazingtoyin@gmail.com. Okay, send me an email, tell me why you want to become an apprentice, and I'll discuss it with you, see if you qualify, and and I'll get you into one of my training programs. Or you could call my phone number at 790-4976-323, 790-4976. Okay, so thank you. Thank you for your time. Okay, it's time for you to move up. Let's find a motivated seller today and move up together. So quickly, I'm going to show you some of the deals that I did. Okay, I did. These are 60 no money down deals. Okay, and here's the list of the deals. I didn't turn the paperwork right. Okay, but all these deals came from one lender. All of them are no money down. The lender investor gave me the money. I bought the property. They even gave me money to fix it up. That's 60 deals as part of the 400 deals that I did. Okay, so if you have a good deal, I'll show you how to get the money, where the money is going to come from and stuff like that. Okay, I've borrowed several $1 million over the years to buy properties. If you look at here, it shows my 400 deals, because as a broker, I list my own deals. Okay, so not only do I control the buying and selling, I control the listing as well, so I make money twice. So where do you go from here? You want my help? Well, you got it. The only person standing in your way is you. So thank you for attending, and let the magic of real estate work for you. Okay, as stated earlier, you can always send me an email at amazingtoyin@gmail.com. Okay, so it's not where you are that matters, as in what direction you are going. And so the American dream is within your reach. So I'll see you at the top, and I will say bye. Thank you so much, and see you sometime in my next video. Bye.